With the convention already in a furor, Senator Abraham Ribicoff rose to nominate anti-war candidate George McGovern.
With George McGovern as President of the United States, we wouldn't have to have Gestapo tactics in the streets of Chicago.
Mr. Daley is not pleased with Senator Ribicoff.
How hard it is to accept the truth.
And he looked at Mayor Daley.
Would like to know what the mayor is saying, but we can't hear it.
Daley had a favorite word. Faker. You're a faker. And it was a favorite word of his. Faker.
Now, the press said that he had used profanity. Now, I was sitting next to him, and I can tell you he did not use profanity. He called him a faker, and that's what the rest of us started to call him.
By Thursday night, the last of the convention, it was clear in the streets and in the hall that Daley had lost control. He had packed the gallery with loyal city workers, but not even their choreographed cheers could drown out the catcalls that began to engulf him.
Well, that's the last vestiges of a sort of machine politics that's having its last grunt and sweat here in Chicago. Mayor Daley and that type of politician is done with in this country.
In a network television interview, Daley tried to salvage his own and the city's reputation.
It's unfortunate, and we can't say it, that the television industry didn't have the information I had 2 weeks ago. Those reports of intelligence on my desk that certain people planned to assassinate the 3 contenders for the presidency. That certain people planned to assassinate many of the leaders, including myself.
Thousands wired their support for Daley's law and order stand, but his stature as a national leader had been irreparably damaged.
Daley probably realized almost instantly the extent to which his own hard line had led him to his own disaster. That his own personal stake in this had led him to his own personal disaster.
The Democrats went on to lose one of the closest elections in presidential history. Many blamed Daley for their defeat.
Daley became a symbol of kind of almost piggish resistance to change. Everything that was crass about him began to be seen, instead of engaging or endearing, it became offending.
A city that was so under control, in this party that was so under control, lost its control. He had his confidence shaken. And I think at this point, it was very difficult for him to know whether he had the feeling for things that was once sure and intuitive for him.
The old system was cracking up under the weight, the pressure of the new. And there was a lot of panic and paranoia. I mean, to explain something like that, you're dealing with human beings. These guys are human. Daley was human.
Race and the war. I think that when he was confronted with the most difficult problems of our time, which was the question of race and the question of the war, simply could not handle it.
Daley was still mayor of Chicago, but his time was passing. Suddenly, wrote one reporter, Daley's empire had shrunk to the borders of Cook County. And there was even more anguish at home. In December 1969, heavily armed Chicago police raided the home of Black Panther leader Fred Hampton as he lay sleeping. Hampton